Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for June 28th through July 2nd. Well, coming to an end of another month of 2021, each one been quite a journey with intense astrology. And here we are, right at another crux here, as where Mercury is now direct, but still needs to come out of retrograde shadow. And as Mercury comes out of retrograde shadow at the end of this week, will then move into will be in a square, its third and final square with Neptune. So even though Mercury's direct, we're still feeling this retrograde type energy, and that will last through the first week of July. And this third and final, it'll be a fourth week this year of Mercury square Neptune. Now Mercury moving though, and it's speaking to where we've been duped, where we've been lied to, where we've been mind controlled, where we've been tricked. And the big trick, the big lie for humanity is that we don't have access to our own power. And this is falling away rapidly. Indeed, all of the structures of control throughout this period of time, since Atlantean time on Earth, have been about making sure humanity doesn't realize that they have access to their own power. It's everything. So that's a big thing too, because as this Mercury is coming, we're still confused. We still feel retrograde. We still can't find direction. And so also for that first week of July, we've got the sun in square to Chiron, that full moon in Capricorn, and the sun is in Cancer. And that is, the moon came right into a square with Chiron right after that full moon. And now the sun is coming into square with Chiron. And the sun is, who are we? Our identity, the roles we're playing. What are we doing here? Who are we? Who are we not? In square to Chiron, our wounds. And we've had so many Chiron transits, like so much energy pointing to this. All of this astrology is speaking to the fact that it's time for humanity to take back its power, to recognize it has its own source. And so this is tension around who we thought we were, who we are, who we can and can't be as we move into the new energies. And if we want to continue to roll over and play dead and not take responsibility for our own access to source power, then we can succumb to the AI agenda and jump on that timeline. But this incredible Mercury square Neptune, Sun square Chiron opportunity to step out of the trap of the lower matrix, to completely release. Really the only thing that's kept humanity playing small and going along with it is also going along with the fear of your own potency and not being willing to take responsibility. But this is where we're at. It's like, wait a minute, why would we have access to our power and this incredible intuitive faculties if we're not here to use it? And humanity is playing small, but particularly supernova souls, hiding in the corner, just trying to make it through, trying to stay safe. And now the energy is changing. It's time to shine because Venus has moved over into Leo. So we've got Mars in Leo, we've got Venus in Leo, our masculine energies of action and deliberate will force moving forward. And then our feminine, how we feel, our sensitivities, our emotions, our self-worth. And so this is really powerful because Mars and Venus are coming together for a conjunction near the middle of July. But before that happens, they both play a part in this T-square. So we have a fixed T-square we're going to have it. The influence basically lasts all year in 2020. The first square of Saturn square Uranus in February. We already felt that in January. We've just had our second exact square, and then the third in December. So this energy is about Saturn in Aquarius. How do we build in this new world, new energies, What are the rules? How do we build in plasma? This is so different. Trying to get bearings on the new energy. And then in square to Uranus and Taurus, it's saying, oh, you get bearings in the new energy by recognizing your wealth and your worth, exactly everything that's been kept from us. So part of the strange times that we're in is that there's so much lies and deceit that we've based our whole history, our whole everything, a conceptual reality on these lies and deceit. And a big part of those lies and deceit is technology that's been withheld from us. Alien technology that's used in our phones, used in a control matrix, surveillance state against us. And with the disclosure of these technologies, you also have a disclosure of the fact that we as humans have access to this technology right in our very own body. Right? So no wonder they don't want us to know. They want to keep us as slaves, debt slaves at the petrodollar, and holding back the technology of free energy. The technology of free energy points directly back to the human soul and body as the most potent source of energy, the highest on the totem pole, the sovereign authority, if you claim it. And this is where humanity's at. Are you going to roll over and play dead? Or are you going to take back your power that's your God-given right and stand up and say, no, we're not playing. We, the people, have the power. So this is where humanity's at, and we're at this crux point. Sun square Chiron saying you can't keep staying in the corner and pretending that you can't take, that you don't have this power, and that you can't take responsibility for this power. And then we've got Mercury square Neptune, complete rearranging and an opportunity to break free of the mind control and the lower matrix realities, or succumb deeper to the program. And here we have Saturn square Uranus. Now, the deal with the Saturn square Uranus is affecting us all year, but these bigger planets are in the backdrop, right? They're in the background, and we don't really feel that right away. And, or as it's happening, it's more like, what is this about, But when we do feel it is when the personal planets come and interact with those. And that's exactly what's happening for these next 2 weeks, because right now, Mars is coming into opposition. We're already feeling that. That's exact this weekend, on the 1st and 2nd, Mars opposite of Saturn. And then coming into an exact square with Uranus the next day. Saturn's at 12, Uranus at 13. And so Mars in a T-square with these planets, Mars and Leo, saying, oh, we have a revolution of wealth. We stop rolling over. We move into the new energies and the new age when we express our individual power or talents, skills, energy, when we express ourselves as that God self. The co-creation, we shine. This is the deal with supernova souls, is that you're operating at about 10%. You've got so much inside of you and you have no idea. We've played small for so long. We've stayed in that corner for so long. And now we don't even realize our potential. And we're here to lead the way for humanity, to say, hey, humanity, you can do this and more. Let's demonstrate a different way, right? Simply what we're doing right now in the greater work for, it feels like, in it for advanced souls, supernova souls, is about simply holding a different paradigm, just knowing, having this faith within you. But the faith within you of all you've gone through as a soul, that is also this hidden potential. And now with Mars and Venus in Leo, it's like your hidden potential's got to come into the light. And this is how we get out of the trap. It's time to shine. And so in doing that, it could be a simple energy. It's not like, oh, you got to go out and you got to this is you expressing something that's inside of you that's bigger, that has not yet been expressed. It could be anything. It could be your truth. It could be you standing up in your truth. So, but everything is saying that humanity, the way you come out of the mind control trap, the way we get into the new age is to express your personal, individual God self. That's how we take back our world and our power. And so Mars in this T square this whole week, and then next week, Venus in the T square. And then Venus and Mars come together on the 12th to the 14th, right there at the middle of the month. And powerful, because the Mars and Venus conjunction in Leo is like, yes, it's time to shine. And you know what this is doing? It's really interesting. Some of the program that this astrology is coming up against and challenging is this energy that we've all bought into as part of staying in the corner, like of mediocrity, right? Like there's this whole thing in the narcissist agenda, and you know, that if you express your gifts, and we've all been programmed from an early age, right? If you shine your light, then it's taking away from somebody else. You're gonna make somebody feel bad. And it's like, no, we didn't come here to stuff this all inside and be depressed and drag our way through life. No. There's no negative to your gifts and skills, your light, your talents, your co-creation, whatever your unique way of expressing this God consciousness. It doesn't take away from anybody. More is more. And that's exactly the message. It's like a full and complete healing of the archetypes of the masculine and the feminine within. No more competition, right? More is more. The masculine holds the cup of the fountain so the feminine can regenerate and bring the magic for everyone. When we support each other in our full expression, but how, you know, this is, we just have this like, oh no, don't, you know, don't try to be better than anybody else. It's not about that. We all have our own unique individual set of skills. And when one person shines, it inspires other people to shine. This is the new leadership. Now, we've had a massive activation of the leadership energies of Gemini, which is the orator, the message, the dynamic mastermind that can lead the way. Now we're having a Leo activation in our personal planets. And Leo is also a leadership sign, but it's about inspiration. It's about, I'm going to shine and be in my full potential so that that inspires you. It's a gift. It's the gift that keeps on going, giving. And doesn't that resonate with free energy, perpetual motion? Hello, right? So this whole thing is saying, hey, we get out of this trap when we individually and humanity starts to express their potential. And as supernova souls, the reason why you're have felt so alone and so disconnected in these times is because you're different. And it doesn't mean you're better or worse. It means you've just had more experience, which means you have a soul memory inside of you of when you were more fully expressing your gifts and skills in this planetary evolution. And then bam, Atlantean age, everything started working against that expression of your God self. Do you see how we've been duped? The only thing keeping us from our evolution, from our power, from coming back into sovereignty is a belief system, the lies and deceit that said that we didn't have access to our God self within us. That's the only thing keeping us back, right? Therein lies the fear programming. Therein lies the lack of being able to take responsibility. And it isn't easy because there's zero support, especially with this paradigm of like, if you've been, so a lot of supernovas are feeling like, wow, there's nobody to talk to about these things, you know, and this is a deliberate program to keep you separate. It's gone on for thousands of years. This whole Piscean age is about a dispersion, keeping all of the light workers separate from each other so they can't amplify, you know, this fear. Like if you come together, we're going to come and squish you, right? The control energies, the Romans, whoever, right? And it's like, so here you are feeling all alone, surrounded by relationships over these last years. It's been a lot about relationships, family relationships, intimate relationships that you have to resolve and heal and clear because it's been lifetimes of an agenda to make sure that you don't know about your hidden potential, the hidden jewel you are. Now, how does that happen? That happens by gaslighting, disempowering. It's that group consciousness stuff, the tribal consciousness that says, oh, you're a little bit bright and it's making us uncomfortable. So you better fit in and then you can be a part of our group. I was like, no. And this is interesting because a lot of people say, oh, the Aquarian age, we won't need leaders, because it's more egalitarian, people taking responsibility for themselves. And that's that autonomy, that sovereignty. But it's like, no, we need leaders more than ever. We need these inspirational leaders that say, hey, I'm here, brave, out here on the stage in the front line to show you what you can do. More is more. Let's shine. Let's do this. Right? But it's been hard because so many around you can't validate this and they don't want you to shine. See, the only way they can keep you as a food source in your advanced soul empathy power is to make sure you don't ever know how powerful you are. If you did, you would never let them feed on you, right? So it's a long-term agenda over lifetimes, and that might be the only thing that makes sense in these relationships, right? Because you're like, why does this person who thought they seemed to care, I thought they were family, I thought this was love, and they don't, it's like they're angry at you for your power and your potential. Why? And they don't know necessarily, right? They're playing out agendas. And this is this whole story, right? As long as we're playing out agendas, then we're never going to get anywhere. Because when you start going through your spiritual advancement, what happens is you come to levels of authority contracts, right? And the deal is that a lot of souls, especially, or, super, like advanced souls, but souls that are seeking spiritual connection, end up giving their power over to spiritual guides that might not be who you think you're talking to. And the deal is that, and this is huge, right? Because we've got some sort of alien disclosure trying to happen. We know it's a bunch of BS. And there's this whole thing that, this false alien, this control energy showing up and being like, we're your masters, right? And it's like, that's exactly how we got here. Is we gave our power away to, and now the deal is that if these entities or beings are showing up in a physical form, that means they're showing up an agenda. We're here to work with the agenda, the optimal, the divine timeline. That's all you came for. This is why we've had such ego death stuff, because we're trying to get out of the way and let life live through us. This is our potential. This is our God self. This is our power. That's what this Leo energy is saying. Oh, you want to take back your power? Well, yeah, go fight the structures, but actually it's by claiming, owning, shining, expressing. That's how we do it. Except you've been surrounded by contractual arrangements with souls over many lifetimes. A lot of times has to do with family lineage that never wanted you to shine. They never want that, because this is what goes on in a narcissist relationship. Eventually, it's all good, right? Especially the covert narcissist relationship. And it's like, oh, this is so great, so great, so great. And then all of a sudden, they're going to start devaluing you, knocking you down every chance they get. It's brainwashing, it's gaslighting, it's subtle, and it's exactly what's been going on in this whole Earth evolution, right? Because if you knew your power, you'd never let them feed on it, because this is your God-given sacred right. This is your sacred creation energy. You're not doing right by creation and God and conscious, whatever you want to call it, source. You are not doing right by source by taking all of this you have accomplished over many lifetimes and evolutions and feeding the bullshit with it, right? And this is the big shift we're feeling on the planet, is one by one, these advanced souls waking up and saying, I'm not playing. And this happens every moment as you stay conscious of your emotions. Oh, yes, this is something mine I need to process. Or it's like, is this something trying to push my buttons and bring me back down to that place where I'm disempowered? Right? So this is really interesting because the masses are starting to wake up to this control energy, right? This is what's playing out in the world. We've got to all know that we've been controlled. Because some people who are completely asleep to the control energies are like, that's crazy that there's some evil cabal, satanic pedophilia ring leading, running our world. That's crazy, and but it's like they're the most controlled, right? And so once you start to recognize the control, then it's this inevitable place where you feel victimized by it. You're like, oh, how can I ever overcome this? I can't even believe this has been going on, and everybody's asleep around me, and I'm the only one in the room awake, and you just kind of want to go back to sleep. But it's like that's these stages, right? And it's healthier to be in the victimized state than to be completely asleep to the fact that you're a prisoner and completely controlled, and you're being stolen from, your energy is being used for evil. It's like, so then you have to go through this grief disempowerment stage of victimization. It's kind of part of it, right? And then you say, wait a minute, and that's where we are. Don't miss this moment. This is our way out of the trap. This next week of astrology, are you ready to get completely out of the trap? And so, because Mars in this T-square is like frustration, opposite of Saturn, and Saturn represents, like, Saturn is like our dharma path, like our true path, but also the obstacles in your chart. It often brings forward the obstacles that are in the way, the 3D rules, laws, blockages, glitchy energies. And so Mars is like, in Leo, let's get on with it. You guys, let's get on with it. As long as we think we're small and powerless, we are. And it's not the truth. When you start to see all the mechanisms that have gone in for thousands of years to keep us small, we must not be small. And all those mechanisms are structures that require continual resources. We're working with organic life force that is renewable energy, right? Oh, renewable. So we have been so duped and so tricked, and maybe this part of this third and final Mercury square Neptune is kind of humanity having the opportunity to be like, oh, this big hump, we got to get over that. The masses need to realize how much we've been controlled and manipulated, or we're never getting out, right? Because that rat in the cage that's willing to just, that doesn't know it's an experiment, oh, this is what we've been to these beings that are playing God for us, this false authority structures. We are their experiment. They've been manipulating and tinkering with our DNA, And it's like, because those beings, as an advanced soul, as a supernova soul, you have to recognize that those beings and all this false authority shit, all this like, oh, the aliens, that energy and the channeling of these different, it's like you're giving your power away when you're doing that. These entities that have been this hierarchical control over humanity are not as evolved as where you came from, not as evolved as your soul. Why? Why are we giving our power over? Right? And it's like game over. So this astrology with Mars and Venus and Leo is saying, how do we get out of the trap? We simply express, I see this help so many supernova souls over that difficult period of time when you recognize there's more inside of you. It's making you depressed. It's eating away at you. And then when you start down that path, you don't have to go fully express some sort of thing that and then you've achieved something. All you have to do is start down the path and it'll change. But that expression of these gifts that are inside of you, that creates the momentum to move out of those stuck places, move out of that dark corner. And that's what we're being asked to do. Once we run with this God consciousness creation energy that now we know we're sovereign in the highest form of life, once we start moving and expressing that, then that momentum. See, with perpetual motion, free energy, you got to have a spark that starts the motion. Then it just keeps going and going and going, right? Oh gosh, supernovas, are we the spark that starts us, humanity, back into free energy by just simply coming out of the corner and expressing our creation energy in our own individual light? Being willing to hold a vision and an energy of something else that's possible, to be the remedy. So, wow, it's so intense with this T-square, because it's like we've had 6 months of this influence of Saturn square Uranus, but now we're at the crux of it. What does it mean? What are we doing? What's the point? And then with Mercury square Neptune, are you going deeper into the dream, the bad nightmare, or are you going to jump out and start being in the dream? I've definitely been shown. So say we are only operating at 10%. We have this huge other amount of power that, I mean, look at what's been done to us. We're in a technological grid. We've been programmed from day one. We got Disney, we got our educational system, dumbed down. We've got fluoride calcifying our pineal gland. We're toxified and GMO'd, and now we're being manipulated through nanotechnology to like literally take over our body and turn it into a remote controllable machine. And all of it, see, that's the deal, right? It's all mechanisms. That's this Pluto and Capricorn energy. It's mechanisms to hold down the power. But the power is the power, not the mechanism. The church doesn't hold the power of God. Really, God has no place in a building, It's like kind of silly, right? We're the temple. We're the constant worship of the truth of life, which feels so much better. Just living. And the astrology is saying, this is how we do it. And it's time to shine. And the stage has been set, and it's time for these new enlightened leaders, inspirational leaders that you see and you're like, they're so brave. And if they can do it, maybe I can do it. I don't know what it is I'm doing, but there's something inside of me that's eating away at me, and I can't stay in this dark corner anymore, because Saturn square Uranus is this revolution of wealth, revolution of self-worth. And now Venus in Leo is like, oh, I got something here. Oh, my whole problem all along was I've got something. I've got this wealth, and they never wanted me to know I had it. And they beat me down. If you tried to show up in your light in these last 2,000 years, you got either killed or persecuted or exiled or tortured or you just said, oh, I better play small to fit in and stay in my group, stay accepted, And Leo isn't about that. Leo wants to have their individual expression. And so this astrology is saying your individual expression and your balance and coming out of the narcissistic lack consciousness that says if you shine, it takes away from somebody else. The sun shines equally on all of us, right? And Yeshua, Jesus, didn't turn it down, right? Like he came to show us you can do this and more, right? He didn't hold back. He didn't pretend he was something different, And that's like a beautiful image for us to come into as we awaken to the 90% of our power that we didn't even know we had. But I have to say that the key here is that being in that expression, moving forward in your coming out of that corner, and that feels better, right? Like this is all about a joyous, ecstatic expression of life force, that life is supposed to be alive, and we've been the living dead. And that's where they're wanting us to go, to zombie land, right? But you know what came through in that Capricorn full moon activation? Such a beautiful picture. So just a few people in this deliberate vibration of vitality is like a homeopathic remedy. And you can have thousands of zombies programmed, remote controlled. There's no power there. And just a few of us organically connected to our source and our truth and expressing our God consciousness and celebrating and aliveness. This is the whole death of the whole distortions of the Piscean age. We didn't come here to suffer. Yes, we had to go down and do that, and we had to have compassion, and we had to experience take on fully the human disease so that we could throw it off. But what makes this source energy happy is the best expression is when we're fully experiencing it with just joy, celebration, levity, ecstatic existence. And then we come to this Uranus and Taurus energy. It's like, do you deserve it? Right? Can you give yourself permission? And maybe that's part of this whole situation with the vax. It's like that deliberate choice to go down the AI road and stay misinformed and believe in the lies and just stay safe in the fear programming, all that. And so we're making this deliberate choice. And maybe that's giving us more permission as an advanced soul to go ahead and be in your light and feel better and work in new energies and express your gifts and celebrate with your people and get on with where we're at right now. It's like, yeah, the masses have a hump to get over with facing how much they've been betrayed and lied to and controlled. But for supernova souls, it's time to get to work on the new structures of the new age. And that's exactly this Saturn square Uranus. And so what's keeping us from that? And it's like whether or not we feel we deserve it, right? Are you worthy? And it's like, oh, wait, no, I had lifetimes of programming saying I wasn't to make sure that I never went. So the more advanced you are, and as a soul, as far as experiences before you before you came to Earth and on Earth, the more disconnected you are from your power, right? So it's like the more intuitive power and experience you have, the more scared and programmed and controlled you've been. Because this whole paradigm of shining and inspiring other people to shine and express, right? They go after the most powerful people who have that connection, the leaders, and attack that. That's how you attack a group movement, right? And so now we're having this tables turning moment where it's like, wait a minute. And all that low self-worth and beaten down and I'm not good enough. I failed Earth and I failed God and all this program. You have to understand this programming is deep over lifetimes. It doesn't make sense in your everyday life, right? But if you go and you're like, oh, that is the core root. And it's exactly what happens, maybe why we've had to play out our empath narcissist relationships, because it's exactly that dynamic where you've been devalued and disempowered and disconnected from who you are and what's important to you and your spiritual reality, ultimately. Oh, no, that's not real. Oh, no, don't put your energy over there. Over here, over here. Be in the mundane. Be with us. Be connected. Be accepted. Don't shine. You're making us uncomfortable. It's like, yeah, are you ready to get uncomfortable? Because the pot is getting hot, right? And then it's like, wait a minute, my spiritual light, and they told me it was somehow bad and wrong and hurting people. It's like, no, that makes no sense. It makes no sense. This is where humanity, this is where we are. We got to be like, oh my gosh, this makes no sense, right? Like put a mask on. No, double mask. Wait, there's no research to say it actually works. There's a whole pile of research to say they don't work. But put it on. Well, double up. Oh, you need a filter in there. It's like, and it's weird how these people that are clinging to this are just showing how disconnected they are from reality. Let's think logically. Common sense. If you got your vax and it protects you, why are you so worried about me getting one? What does that matter? Right? and just everything, right? I mean, we know we live in this upside down world, and that's Mercury square Neptune. We got to go more upside down, before we can turn it around, start talking logic, sense, you know, maybe divine intervention can make this vax undo the mind control. And we can start talking logically and with our heart and soul again. How many times have you shown up in your truth, trying to share something meaningful? Now, how do you tell them how dangerous it is after they already got it? You show up in your truth, and it's just this disturbing thing, and nobody wants it. And so anyway, we're in that turning of the tables, and just the main message for supernovas is like, your whole thing has been so hard, and the only reason you want to listen to this is because it resonates and it's gobbledygook. No, if you weren't supernova, you wouldn't want to even listen to this stuff, right? But it's like the reason why it's been so hard, the reason why it's been so crippling, the reason why you feel like everyone's got you working through all this karma, and people around you just floating through life, That's because you are different, because you've had more experiences, you've got the God code, you have a soul memory of when you were more in your human potential. Let's talk about human potential and what's been stolen from us. And then they want to call that bad. And we would rather have mediocrity where we all feel safe and good. It's like, no. And so everything is turning the tables. And so can you use this opportunity in your life to turn the tables and say yes to life, yes to expression, yes to your truth, yes to the 90% of you that you've kept in a corner and you didn't even know you were keeping in a corner? Are you ready for the self-discovery, the excavation? Uranus and Taurus is a lot about an excavation of these gifts, right? First, you got to know you have them. Then you got to go find them. You got to undo all the programming that keeps wanting you to put your big blocking, it's like we've all been, as sensitive souls, it's like we have a fortress and a gate, like a big safe and a lock and key around our heart in order to stay safe here, and every time you try to open it up, it hurts so much and they trigger you back into the trauma. Most advanced souls have been traumatized on other levels that they don't understand, either through other lifetimes or with a memory you can't access, or your early childhood, or all of it. And we're kind of having to undo all of this mind control. And the thing is, like, you get to that place where you're like, well, I'd rather be asleep than face this level of trauma that's been programmed in my field. Except you're here, you're brave, you made it this far, you're here to lead the way, and it's gonna feel better when you do. So let's just do it. And we are here to work together. So many supernova souls have this thing of like, it's okay, I'm alone. It's okay, I'm supposed to be alone. I can do this alone. It's like, no, you're not. You came in a pod, and what are you running from? How did our hearts get so blocked and stone cold? And this is hereditary programming. It's actually very connected to those narcissist agendas and that disempowerment energy that you may have found in your blood family through generations. It closes down the heart. And it's time to open this up again, and that's so we had all this Cancer energy and all those vulnerabilities. But now that Mars and Venus are in Leo, it's like, okay, I face those dark places of insecurity, and I recognize that compared to the light and my potential and my joy and my expression, they're this big. They're a little tiny piece of sand. We've been letting that little tiny piece of sand dictate whether or not we have permission with our being, in our being, to come into that full potential. And now we can't do it anymore. We got to make a choice. Pick a lane. Remote controlled or empowerment into your true sovereignty. That's the Aquarian age. See, we did the Aquarian age with technocrat control already. Now we have to do the only way we get to the Aquarian age is through sovereignty in our individual soul. And humans then taking back their sovereignty from the control mechanisms. And we're so close to massive truth coming out that's so disturbing and so just so hard to look at. And yet humanity has got to see these things in order to be free. And it's hard because those of us who have been aware have been like, all this stuff goes on, all this darkness, and nobody's ever held accountable. And what we call justice is actually working against us, creating false flags and like controlling us through fear and trauma. That's our justice system. And nobody gives a shit, and nobody's going to ever, how do we even get out of this mess, right? That's that disempowered phase. And then there's the sick to your stomach phase. That's where we're close to. But then there's this energy of like those that have been perpetrating this evil upon us that we've been not willing to see. We didn't have eyes to see. Now we're opening our eyes. Maybe that is our intuitive faculties coming online because now you can't not see the bullshit. But when the masses see the bullshit, those people will not be able to walk the street. The wrath of humanity taking back their power, recognizing how much they've been manipulated and been supporting through that manipulation, this darkness, idolizing people that do very dark things, being told we should trust these people that are actually performing a eugenics program to depopulate the planet. What? Is that even possible? How could that level of evil exist? And the deal is we have to remember that it's been this time for thousands of years since Atlantean time, but now it's coming to the surface. And we do have more slaves on the planet than we ever have, and they're mostly children. Is that okay? Are tax dollars funding that shit? Is this okay? Are we gonna like let this shit go on? See, we're just at the end. The world is dropping off. Maybe the world is flat. Maybe we're in a firmament and we're coming to the edge of reality, and like, we can't keep going this way. And so here we are. And then it's this beautiful opportunity, everything you've been waiting for. You haven't yet started. You've been playing small to get through, to get to this point where you could start doing what you're here to do. And step into the glory and the light of who you really are and be that demonstration project of like, humanity, there's a different way to do it. Hey, do you know what a threat that is? No wonder they're doing so much to keep us from connecting with each other. Such a threat. Because it's like, if everybody doesn't succumb or a majority doesn't succumb to the lower matrix mind control robot program, then it can't happen. So that's why you've been so hassled, even though you maybe didn't even realize that's what was happening. We're so used to it, and then all these forces trying to keep powerful people from coming together and working together in deliberate intention in person. So guess what? That's what we're doing. That's this next phase, right? And we hold that city of light and we're like, humanity, haha, check this out. And that's what I was seeing over this, like from that greater conjunction that happened in December and the next 3 years until the sextile that happens between those planets. It's like we have this concurrent thing going on and we're like, hey, you guys, you can come over here if you want to. We're just demonstrating a whole different way of being, which is vibrant and healthy. And it's so weird because those that are programmed through fear of health issues are going into that AI agenda willingly. But those who are on the path of awakening are getting healthier and healthier, dropping ancestral disease, just layers just falling off, all on its own. And that vitality is everything we're talking about. That is our free energy. And we got to run with it. And we got to be that city of light, whether it's two or more coming together in this intentional vibrational frequency of being the remedy, being the white light, being the optimal timeline. That's how we go up. We got in the fight of the lower battle of agendas, right? Because there's this, so the whole control energy is based on an agenda, and their agenda is to limit population and keep us as slaves. So all the hierarchical energies are supporting that, right? On some level. But we're here for the divine timeline, for the optimal. So when we put our energy in the optimal, it overrides the program. I can see this with like weather manipulation, right? And it's like, oh, tinkering with the DNA, tinkering with the weather, tinkering with all this stuff, using their little technological, what we have said, oh, that's really powerful. And it's like, we have that right in our very own body. We just were, manipulated from that and tricked. And so the way, or the divine, or the optimal, which can be really helpful, because it's like, we've been fighting against the agendas, right? No, we want a better agenda. We want a better agenda. Then we're still in the fight, and we're still in the agenda. We want to come out of agenda into that divine timeline, into the optimal. And this is exactly why we've been so stuck for these last 6 weeks in this Mercury retrograde energy, because we have to completely rearrange our way of manifesting and moving in the world. And got to get out of all agenda and be in the divine agenda, be in the presence of the moment, be in the rightness and the beautiful optimal that's best for everyone. Do you see the power of that compared to manipulated weather? And that's something I've seen in past lives, like as an example of what we're talking about when I say your intuitive power. It's like you've had lifetimes where you were holding the vibration of the optimal weather and working with elemental forces, right? They don't want us to know about that. That's why they destroyed the whole planet, destroyed that technology. The Atlantean catastrophes were about destroying our history, our technology, and our connection to that own source, which is the technology within our own body. And so see this full circle. Like, we can't get into the Aquarian age while the last Aquarian age isn't resolved, which was Atlantean time. And so that's everything that's on the table. And so when we can be in that place of the remedy, the power of humanness, of empathy, connection, compassion, if you show up as the remedy of this human connection, and no matter what you're dealing with sleepers, or mind control, or attack, or spike proteins, and you show up as that remedy, you show up as that I'm here and present and connected human, right? And that is this divine timeline, getting out of the fight for our agenda, right? This is the right and left, and one side's better than the other, and divide and conquer, and math, men against women, and whites against blacks, and blah, 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 divide and conquer. Are we done with this? Are we ready to face that every single war we were manipulated into? We no longer resonate at war. That's not our vibration of our collective. That's why they have to do false flags, planned events, and they try to create this trauma. You have to use a mind control patsy. You have to fake the deaths, because our consciousness can't create that anymore, right? This is our whole deal. Our consciousness has been used to create their agenda. And now we're like, wait a minute, your agenda is fueled by our consciousness. We don't want that. That's not true. That's not real. That's not where we're at anymore. Enough is enough. And so when we hold on to this agenda, which optimal is a great word, or it could be that divine timeline, and the optimal thing, the optimal weather, the optimal potential for what's best for everybody in the true representation of where human consciousness is at, is way more powerful than their mechanisms and their technology. And it's falling apart. I feel it. You being present and awake is a massive challenge to their agenda. And that can show you how powerful you are. And then as you go to express your God consciousness, so this is, I think, what the gift of this confusing time is like that ego death of like, all we were trying to get our agenda going, right? And it's like, no, we got to get out of agenda and onto the way, the highway, My way is the highway, the only way, right? And when we come together with our intentional, deliberate celebration of that energy, which that's what's so cool about this week, especially in the US, like saying, okay, let's celebrate, right? Let's come together, let's celebrate, let's be the remedy, be this that homeopathic dose of sanity and reason and logic and expression of our true power as humans, our sovereign right. And that is such a challenge to the agenda, right? And so keep showing up, keep doing it. We're getting there. We're at that critical mass. We're at that turning point. The tables are turning. We got a week more, a little over a week, 10 days of confusion and sorting all this out with Mercury square Neptune. But take your opportunity to be in the vibration that is that expression of your potential and the celebration in that, like, you and your light and your gifts and your power, your healing abilities, whatever it is you have inside of you that has not yet been expressed, that is such a beautiful gift. It is a celebration of source and God and creation. And when you share, you are loving and blessing the world. We were told we were hurting the world and making other people feel uncomfortable because, maybe they don't have those gifts and skills. It's like we all have this something inside of us that wants to be expressed. Is that how they took our power? By just disempowerment, mediocrity, using that group consciousness, group think in the Piscean age to keep us playing small. And it's like, the soulmate relationship, the reason why it's so different of supernova soulmate relationship, your soul group, is that you want to see each other shine. That's how you can trust that person, because they're like, oh yeah, that's great. And it's like, you expressing your potential helps me express my potential, and more is more. Perpetual motion, free energy. It's like the dynamism that comes from a diluted homeopathic remedy. Homeopathic remedies take one drop of the original tincture, the mother tincture of the substance, and dilute it, and then shake it up and dilute it and shake it up. And it gets more and more powerful the smaller it gets. There's so much potential within us to be the remedy. And now it's time to dynamize that potential. Maybe that's what's going on with these new energies. We're getting shaken up, right? And that's Uranus too. Uranus is a disrupting energy, shaking up the old patterns in the earth, shaking up the old patterns of our connection to our attachment to physical form and our self-worth and value. What's valuable? We've been taught that paper money. Everybody wants lots of paper money, and you don't get to take that shit with you. Now we're being shown what's actually valuable. And you know what? Those things are invisible. And maybe that's this whole connection. You've got this whole invisible side that's been hiding, and it's time to express that wealth. It's time to live and breathe in the new wealth, the new you, the new world, the new age. Let's do this. It's time to go. It's time for us as advanced souls to get to work on the next projects and start playing in the new energy and celebrating that we made it here together. And that's how we can demonstrate. It's the best way to help the masses make that leap back onto that optimal timeline. And let's be there together and celebrate. And so have a wonderful week. I look forward to seeing you soon. And happy Independence Day as we come into this for the US. The fight that's been going on in the US for this optimal timeline, for our true spiritual evolution coming back, is for the whole world, and it's for multiple worlds to free. If we free Earth from AI, we're freeing all these other planets from AI. And it's glorious, because it's all about just a full expression and celebration of life, living God consciousness available right here, and your beautiful, unique gifts and skills. So Time to shine. And we'll see what that means. See, a lot of what's held supernova souls back is that, but I don't know what's in with me. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what the next steps to take. I don't know how to make it happen. What kind of business? What does it look like? And it's like, we got to put all that aside. And because we don't know, it's been hidden from us too. So we only have one foot in front of us, one step we can take, right? Towards and into that expression. And then this Leo energy is saying, then you'll be able to see who you are, right? Then you'll get your marching orders. Then you'll find your people, right? It's our self-expression that leads us out of this trap. And more is more. So let's bring it. So go supernova. And I look forward to seeing you soon on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.